Good morning. I heard there's supposed to be a storm coming in. Is there a storm coming in today? I heard it's going to storm. I think that's good news. Big old funky storm up there on the summit. Already the climate naysayers, the sky is falling, people saying, I always amazed, before we even get into the weather part of the year, they're saying, there's not going to be any rain this year. I read this morning on the Drudge Report that Harvard University scientists said that from the global cooling, the Little Ice Age in the 17th century, it's still having an impact on the bottom of the ocean. It's actually the bottom of the ocean is still cooling from the 17th century Ice Age. It's funny that the global warming people never bring that up, but now these scientists from Harvard, you can read all about it today. I read an article this morning. I thought it's amazing how dogma and propaganda gets put into little kids' school books to scare the hell out of them, and the facts aren't even matching up with it. Well, I just wanted to begin today, and then I'll introduce who we are, but I wanted to read something that one of the listeners sent to me that I've seen before, but I had lost track of it, and it was written in the newspaper, the Daily News, in November 4th, 1949. I thought, I love these things. It's called Ode, O-D-E, to the Welfare State. It says, Mr. Truman's St. Paul, Minnesota, Pie for Everybody speech last night reminded us that at the tail end of the recent session of Congress, Representative Clarence J. Brown, Republican, Ohio, jammed into the congressional record the following poem, describing its author only as a prominent Democrat from the state of Georgia. And the title of the poem is Democratic Dialogue. He says, Father, must I go to work? No, my lucky son, we're living on Easy Street, on dough from Washington. We've left it up to Uncle Sam, so don't get exercise. Nobody has to give a damn. We've all been subsidized. But if Sam treats us all so well and feeds us milk and honey, please, Daddy, tell me what the hell he's going to use for money. Don't worry, bub. There's not a hitch in this here noble plan. He simply soaks the filthy rich and helps the common man. But, Father, won't there come a time when they run out of cash and we have left them not a dime? When things will go to smash? My faith in you is shrinking, son, you nosy little brat. You do too damn much thinking, son, to be a Democrat. Well, I'm not much for the Republicans nowadays either. I had, how all of us, unless you figured out a way to block everybody, are getting blasted by robocalls and calls from people that look even like they're calling from local number, and live or robocalls, recordings or real. And so I got one yesterday from a lady from the Republican Party who I said, don't have time to talk to you. She kept talking over the top to me. I said, will you just stop a minute? And I just want to tell you to give a message to the Republicans of California to go shove it. I'm done with them. I'm way more conservative than they are. And she started laughing, and she said, I got it. I'll tell them. And I said, thank you very much. I'll see you later. So today you're listening, if you don't know what you're doing and you just stumbled across the station, you're listening to Live with Lou, and we're up here at the top of Mount Huth. We're freezing our butts off up here because we got no air. We got no air system that heat it. You can blow air through here, but it's just freezing. So, but we're broadcasting today, and do we have live stream today? Or he says thumbs up. That's live stream. So all you that listen, off your apps and on your computer at kmycradio.com. You can get it today and get a better signal than if you're out there in a fringe area and you can't really hear it too well. We don't really turn too much electricity on here because so we run the power really low. So you're better if our tweaker techie has got the live stream going, then you even though we're running on the lowest power possible, so we're kind of like faking out the advertisers, and but you can listen live stream, or you can listen on those apps and hear it really nice. So this is Live with Lou. I'm here with Santos Vigil, the wiki man who's keeping the he's got the gum out and the Elmer's glue and everything. We got it going on the other side of this glass, holding things together, and jumper cables and everything else to keep the thing going on. So thanks for listening, and you can call us if you wish, 742-5555. That's a 530 area code. I know some of you probably can hear down in these other area codes. I know people out there in Idaho, they're on another area code. They've moved. They're the refugees that fled California and they're flapping their jibs over there, happy as can be, packing their weapons cheap. They're registering their cars cheap, getting that cheap gas. God bless you guys over there in the various places in Idaho. So we're just small time over here. We're just on here once a week live from 9 to noon. We don't have any helpers putting our information together, except for some of the listeners send us stuff, which is kind of fun. So here's one thing. It says $1.77 gas, no state income tax. I can drink with a plastic straw while carrying my 45 and eating a Whataburger. God bless Texas. Come on, man. You were down in Texas. You ate a Whataburger. Is it good? It's pretty good. Hold on here. Turn yourself on. What?
Yep. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, man, at Whataburger.
Whataburger. You like it?
Heck yeah.
Is it like a fast food deal?
Well, yeah, it's like a fast food. Yeah, I guess it's probably comparable to Carl's Jr.
Oh, okay.
But it's better.
It's better. I haven't been down to Texas in decades. I drove through there during the gas crisis of Jimmy Carter years and got stuck in San Antonio, sleeping in a Denny's parking lot. Didn't even have enough money to buy a hotel room. Just cheaped it. Just slept right in the car. And then the next morning, that was back then when we had forced, it was kind of like all these Democrats wanted to force you to live on less, right? So the gas stations would close at night because they'd run out of gas if they pumped night and day. So they'd rather have you just stand in line. Something I hate to do is stand in line. After Eva Burlfine, Eva, she spoke at church one night and said, hey, you shouldn't worry about standing in line because God has you there for a reason. Talk to the person next to you. They may be thinking about killing themselves or something. So I thought, all right, I got to take a different perspective on this. Another listener sent in this, said there's a picture of a little girl standing up holding a fish. When you live in a country where you can be arrested for fishing without a license, that's at the top of the picture, but not for entering that country illegally, you can bet that country is run by idiots. Hold that thought. Here's another one. These are things sent to me by people listening to this show. Candace Owens. You know Candace Owens? She says, will CNN smear us all as token Negroes, or will they report accurately that the black conservative movement is here and is big? We love this president. We love this country, and we are here to claim our piece of the American dream. The Democrat Party is over, she says. Well, I don't know whether they're over, but she may be over them, right? And another one, 2 years of Trump, no new wars, lowest unemployment rate, more jobs, cut your taxes, gas is $2, and media keeps saying he is awful. And also this one I got a kick out of. Pocahontas, Senator Warren. It says this is a suggestion for her campaign slogan for the 2020 election. Did you see this? She said, Warren, and then there's a nice little squiggly color under her name. Warren, 1/2020. Oh, these people, it's shameful. The people that are running the country, it's just shameful. I mean, when you look at them, and human beings voted them into office, supposedly intelligent people, and they are like off the hook crazy. Off the hook crazy. You think dopers? I mean, I run around with dopers that are strung out on meth and heroin and stuff. You think they're crazy. I look at some of these people like Nancy Pelosi, and they're like they're off the hook, as they say. Well, I noticed this. This is another thing. People just sending me stuff. Thomas Hodgson, Hodgson, Bristol County Sheriff, Dartmouth, Maine. Or maybe it's Massachusetts. I think it's maybe Massachusetts. Anyway, he says it's a statement from Bristol County Sheriff on the killing of Newman, California police officer Ronil Singh. He says it's time for the American people. I love this when sheriffs like kick rear. Hopefully, Anderson and Yuba County, where we're sitting right now, and Barnes and Sutter County will have the backbone to take on some of this stuff, because I'm going to talk about another thing that's going to deal with our counties in just a minute. So you may be from Butte, Colusa, Placer, Nevada, that might be tuning in to us today, so you'll be thinking about your sheriff. He says, Hodgson says it's time for American people to hold their elected lawmakers accountable for each and every crime, from minor to murder, committed by illegal aliens in our country because of Congress's inaction, inability, or downright unwillingness to secure our border and protect American families. The senseless killing of Newman, California police officer Ronil Singh is the latest clear example of why the American people cannot continue to ignore the suffering and loss that families continue to endure as a result of the Congress's indifference to their obligation to protect the American people. Lawmakers have shown time and time again that their personal political agendas are far more important than the American lives lost or the American families ripped apart by criminal, illegal aliens. These angel families who have lost loved ones to illegals deal with it every day of their lives. We can no longer sit on the sidelines while we watch those we trusted to represent our interests as Americans use Congress as their personal political playground. This is not about being a Democrat or Republican. This is about America and our individual responsibility to provide a safe and prosperous future for our children and the children's children. If the recent murder of Officer Singh does not make a call for us to demand Congress fund border security, what will? Officer Singh respected the laws of the United States and immigrated to our country legally because he wanted to be a police officer. He was so proud to be an American citizen and pursued a career that enforced the laws that preserved a land of opportunity for future generations of legal immigrants. He was murdered in cold blood by a criminal, illegal alien that had no respect for our laws. Nancy Pelosi said yesterday that a border barrier is immoral. Really? No, what is immoral is the fact that such a statement is an attempt by her to hide her real motives for not supporting the wall. Plain and simple, she's motivated by her selfish political agenda, and in her arrogance attempts to deflect the truth by making hollow arguments. Then we have Senators Feinstein and Warren calling for an investigation of the two children who died in CBP custody, that's Border Patrol custody, at the border after being brought into our country illegally. No one wants to see any child die. This is clearly a tragedy. However, having two senators asking for an investigation when it was, in fact, their own political theater and inaction that created the chaotic situation at the border is yet another example of people we elect thinking we're stupid. It is clear that Congress has no intention of stopping this crisis and addressing the real issues that matter to us and our families. They work for us, and if ever there was a time to hold them accountable for their performance, it is now. Enough is enough. And if you just plugged in to us and missed the start of that, that's Sheriff Thomas Hodgson of Bristol County in Dartmouth. So there's a lot of talk going on right now about the border, and I have a dozen people that if we get to it, I'll tell you their stories. They were all murdered by illegal aliens, from just youngsters on up to an elderly lady. It's pretty tragic, and it's fascinating to me that so few people are raising hell about it. Here's another, this is a final clip here, a little deal that someone sent to me, a little saying, root causes for the fall of the Roman Empire. And if probably most of you don't do much history in school anymore, they don't do much political history. So here's about a dozen and a half key causes of the fall of the Roman Empire, which was one of the most amazing empires in the history of the world. One was open borders. Number two, corrupt politicians. Number three, loss of common language. Next, welfare state. Next, violent entertainment. Decline of morality. Decline in fertility rate. Rise in pedophilia. If any of you don't know what that means out there in Oliver, that means having sex with little kids. Unchecked debauchery. That means maybe like having sex with a horse. And drunkenness. Class warfare. That would be what Obama tried to create. Unbearable taxation. That would be what our supervisors in Yuba County are trying to add on to. Outsourcing. Trade deficits. Exploding debt. In other words, outsourcing, using slaves to do all the work and exploiting people while the Romans ran around and screwed each other. Exploiting debt. Money devaluation, military cuts, terrorist attacks. All of those were aspects leading to the fall of an amazing empire. Everything that you see that's existing today can collapse once, like my new name for California is Calizuela. Venezuela was the strongest country economically and democratically, politically. It was the strongest country in South America. Today, it's a war zone. People are starving to death. Millions have fled the country because they don't, and in fact, they have one of the biggest oil reserves in the world, and today they are importing fuel because they ran off all of the experts and turned it over to idiots. And so now they can't even figure out how to pump and refine their own fuel. So they're importing it. Just think about that. You think that can't happen? That's happening actually in California. I'm going to talk about that later as well. Banning any type of oil exploration, wharfs, new connections, pipelines, just to shut down Mr. Trump, President Trump. They're just going to, and so you and I are going to, if you're in California and listening to this, you and I are going to have to pay the penalty for that because they're just going to oh, we hate you, we hate you, we hate you, so we're going to pay $5 a gallon for gas just to show you how funky it can get over here. Just going to have to bring in all the oil. We're going to let every other state produce the fuel for us. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back. We got 2.5 more hours. This is Live with Lou if you just plugged in.
meaning to the term first responders.
Fellow community members stepping forward, volunteering their time to help others faced with what might be some of the most traumatic incidents in their lives.
It's called the Trauma Intervention Program, or TIP. It's been used in communities across the United States for years, and its volunteers have been dispatched to provide what they call emotional first aid.
A collaboration between police, paramedics, fire departments, and even hospital staff is making sure residents are emotionally taken care of in a time of crisis. Residents are volunteering their time with the Trauma Intervention Program, or TIP, dispatched to the scene of a fire, accident, or death to focus on the emotional needs of those left behind.
It's just being there and being comforting, like a good friend or an extension of your family.
Ready to assist, sit, and listen to community members in a time of tragedy.
To learn more about the Trauma Intervention Program, visit yubasuttertip.org or call 673-9300.
All right. Well, I've been watching this fellow for a while. I saw a little clip. I think I played a clip about this guy, Richard Overton. Oh, maybe a year or so. He was the nation's oldest man and a World War II vet. He died about a week ago, and he was 112 years old. Is that amazing or what? And I just wanted to honor him this morning because he survived. He's a survivor, right? He survived the war. Let me just tell you a little bit about him. He was living in Austin, Texas. He became famous down there because of his background, the fact that he was the oldest guy in the country, and people would come and just they'd come and visit his little house. I think some people actually went in and remodeled his house for him. I think that was the article we read about where they went in and just blessed him. And he, like a lot of people that are older, he got some pneumonia and he just didn't have the strength to fight it off and died in a rehab. But he was well known to his neighbors who often chatted with him on his porch in East Austin during his 72 years that he lived in that spot. People from around the country were visiting him, and for several of his recent birthdays, the community was welcome to come to his front yard to celebrate with him. People from all over Central Texas arrived to say hello and gift him a birthday card, or if they knew Overton's favorite pastimes, a bottle of whiskey and a box of cigars. So Overton, let's see. He was born in St. Mary's in Bastrop County on May 11, 1906. He enlisted in the Army in 1942, 9 months after the Pearl Harbor attack. He served in the Pacific Theater, including Guam, Okinawa, and Iwo Jima. If you're unfamiliar with those conflicts, they were actually firefights or open military conflicts. They weren't just stationed on an island where you were protecting the island, but they were battles for those areas. And he was served till 1945 when he left the service. Overton told the Austin American Statesman, that's a newspaper down there, the writer was Ken Herman in 2013, that he had landed on more beaches under fire than he could actually remember. He also remembered ducking bullets in foxholes and clearing dead bodies from fields of battle. So we just tip our hat to Richard Overton today and remember him for his service to the country, and God bless him for his years of being a good American soldier. He had in this picture, he had a World War II, a cool World War II baseball cap on, and had a big cigar in his mouth. So way to go, Richard, and way to go all those who are still living that served in World War II and any other conflict since then. I wanted to mention about this Measure K. Measure K was a ballot measure during the November 6th election that asked voters to increase the sales tax in Yuba County by 1%, which would bring it up to 8.25%, I believe, from 7.25. And so there was a battle went on back and forth over that. More people voted for it than voted against it. I think it was 52, 53, 51. I don't know. Anyway, it's just over the majority, slight majority voted for it. And so the county supervisors and administrators of the county, they were thrilled by that, thinking that should do it. And even though Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association sent a letter during the campaign for the Measure K increase saying that they had miswritten the ordinance to put it on the ballot and misportrayed the ordinance in their publicity campaign as a special fund, which would then take a 2/3 vote of the population to make that tax work because they push it as a public safety fund. And so a number of people, not only has a lawsuit been filed by a firm in Sacramento to stop the Measure K from going into taking place or taking effect. But so they're asking the judge to stop it until they could have a fair hearing in court over it. And we'll see when that comes to court. Not sure how that's going to play out. But also a number of residents filed fair political practices complaints with the FPPC, the Fair Political Practices Commission. Most of the time people just say FPPC. And so I was kind of one of the last people, I think, right before Christmas to file my own complaint. I'd never done that before, filed an FPPC complaint. Usually the people that file those are candidates if they feel like they've been wronged in an election, or they think someone is cheating, right? Or they think someone is not reporting finances properly. You know, if you're running for election, if you've ever been on a board, you got to file all these forms to tell what your assets are and how much money you took in and how much you spend and how you spend it, right? Those are FPPC forms. So a number of people began to file FPPC complaints. If you go on if you go to Facebook and go No on Measure K and you look at the site that has the Measure K and then it has a circle around it and a slash through it, like No on Measure K. If you go to that Facebook site, you can read a lot of posts about the Measure K. So anyway, I filed a complaint, and I'd never filed a complaint before with the FPPC, so I just followed some of the directions and filled in the little box, and it's pretty simple, actually. In fact, if you wanted to file, and the reason I filed it is because I felt from my reading that the county of Yuba violated Proposition 218 and Proposition 13 on their requirements and restrictions on how you go about raising taxes now, and how they lobbied the citizens, and how it's supposed to be illegal to take the citizens' money, which is their tax dollars, and turn around and lobby the citizens to take more of their tax money. That's supposed to be illegal. It's a violation of the Constitution. It's a free speech violation. That might be a stretch for you to think through, because they say, well, what was I saying? Well, the interpretation of the Constitution is that how your money is used, it's kind of like when you go spend your money, it's a form of speech. Like if you go buy at Taco Bell, you're endorsing Taco Bell by buying a taco from them, right? It's kind of saying, hey, way to go, Taco Bell. So if you our money, as you know, our tax dollars are forcibly taken, and if you don't give them the money, they will take your possessions and put you in jail, right? That's the extreme result. So when they take your money to take care of the potholes in the streets and the sewer and the police and the fire and all that kind of stuff, that's one thing. But if they take that same money and use that against you in an election campaign, that's a violation of your free speech. So anyway, I wrote this my view on explaining to the FPPC why I thought they violated the law. And so on Facebook recently, all of a sudden, the other people that filed complaints, I guess, haven't heard anything back, but they responded to me and they rejected my complaint. And they said, for lack of evidence. Well, I didn't even know that we were supposed to provide. I didn't know I had to do my own investigation, right? I'm not like one guy took a shot at me because he said, well, obviously you're not an attorney. I thought that would be the last thing I wanted to be. They're pretty boring people, actually. So anyway, I had no idea that in an FPPC complaint, you had to do your own investigation and you had to provide your evidence as if you knew all the ins and outs of all the laws, right? So I thought that would be insulting to them for me to do the investigation and me make all the arguments. I thought that was their job, right? It's kind of like calling the police and have the guy handcuffed to the post in front of your house and have him fingerprinted, hit the photo taken, right? Have his pants checked, make sure he's not packing any heroin, right? And do all the work. I thought, well, that'd be insulting. Like that would be your job, right? Why would I haul him down and tie him up and throw him in the back of the pickup and deliver him to the jail, right? So anyway, so the Appeal Democrat, that was good fodder for the Appeal Democrat, and I was thrilled that they wrote an article on it. I guess it was sent to me this morning. I don't subscribe to the paper, but it was sent to me on email this morning, so I got to read it. So I'm thrilled that the Appeal Democrat is finally covering Measure K. And so everybody can read about it, but you can also read about it on Measure K. And you can actually see the complaint and the response of the Fair Political Practices Commission to my complaint. Now, here's the cool thing about it is that they said, hey, by the way, it's not over. If you can produce the evidence, you go out and do all the legwork, right? You have to do all. You got to get out your backhoe and do all the digging yourself. We're not going to do it, you know. So that's all been done now, and although that wasn't revealed in the paper, email after email after email after email after email has been sent to the Howard Jarvis, or not Howard Jarvis, but Fair Political Practices Commission, with photographs, copies, everything, including a copy of the lawsuit that's been filed against Measure K. So they now have their evidence. So we'll see now. You know, one time, someone was telling me yesterday that at one time the legislature, I don't know whether it's because they got tired of being harassed by the Fair Political Practices Commission or they felt like they were ineffective, but they were going to defund them. So recently we fought against we tried to appeal to the CPUC, the California Public Utilities Commission, over the high water rates in Marysville. We found them to be corrupt, and they were bought and sold and owned by the utilities. So that didn't work out so hot. So it's interesting to see whether the Fair Political Practices Commission is actually fair, right? Fair is the dynamic word in the name of their commission. Fair Political Practices Commission. And so now they have all the information. We sent it to them. I thought they would want to go get that. They'd say, hey, don't insult us. We're the investigators, right? But no, they wanted us to be the investigators. So anyway, they have lots of information now, and we'll see whether they think the county indeed followed every single rule or whether they did not. So if you are interested, if you feel like I had a guy call me that I hadn't talked to for seemed like decades, and he called me out of the blue and he read my article in the Territorial Dispatch a few weeks ago, and you can look those articles up at territorialdispatch.biz, B-I-Z, and then just pick, any date you can kind of peruse the articles that I write. So this guy called me and he said, hey, I read this article, and he said I was discouraged because I thought once the election happened, there's nothing we could do about this Measure K. And I said, well, you can file a complaint with the Fair Political Practices Commission. But I bet everybody did kind of like what I did. They just wrote and say, wait a minute, I think this is a violation of Prop 218. But you can't just say that. In other words, the way of taking $200,000, which was a guesstimate on my part, because it takes the county, they violate. Did you know that if you want to know something about the county, they have 10 days to respond? But the county routinely violates the law all the time. They just said, to hell with 10 days. We're the government. We can do whatever we want. And to hell with Prop 218, we can spend $200,000 of your money if we want to, right? And so we have photocopies of Facebook pages, photocopies of signs, photographs of all these things, and we send them down there. So if you're interested in filing a Fair Political Practice Commission complaint, it's very, very easy. If I can do it, I am not a techie. I have a computer, but I'm not that sharp on any of this stuff. I'm old, but if you feel like you got ripped off in this election, or you feel like, hey, I know I've heard about that Prop 218 and Prop 13, and I've read articles by Howard Jarvis. In fact, I was just told that in the upcoming edition, this coming Tuesday, Monday night on the internet of the Territorial Dispatch, there's going to be an article by John Coupal, Coupal. He is the president of the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, of which are about 200,000 members in California. He's going to have an editorial or an opinion piece about the FPPC going after the BART, Bay Area Rapid Transit, and I'm always confused whether it's the city of L.A. or county of L.A. regarding a recent tax increase they did. And they're filing lawsuits against them. And so John Coupal talks about that. And if you'll read that article this coming week, you can kind of compare it on some of the tactics of BART, Bay Area Rapid Transit. They handle all the subway system in San Francisco and East Bay. You can kind of look at what they're being accused of, and also Los Angeles, which is fascinating, and see how it lines up with the county of Yuba. There are rules to this. Some people don't want to have rules. They just say, hey, you just put stuff on the ballot, and if it gets one vote over 50%, we're good. Like a lot of people said, oh, we thought that school bond passed, Lou. It was like they got more votes for the school bond than voted against it. But again, school bonds here in Yuba County, they need 55%, and they didn't get their 55%. So people just, there's a lot of different rules. So anyway, my bad. I didn't realize that I had to provide all the evidence, photos, documents, recordings, et cetera, et cetera. Do you know what it would take in a Freedom of Information Act to get a recording of all those robo calls and all those meetings that they had? They would grandstand, and they wouldn't provide any of that stuff, Yuba County. It took them months to just get to find out that they spent $100,000 in just the first few weeks of the campaign. So anyway, if you want to file a complaint, you can still do that. If you go to No on Measure K Facebook site and scroll down, you'll see a box, and it says in big black letters, "Speak Up, Be Heard." And right above that box, there is you can just click on that website, and it'll go right to FPPC, and then you can see where you can file a complaint, and you can choose to be. And some of you are spineless, so you don't want your name to be used. I don't have a problem with that, so I put my name in there. But some people file anonymous complaints, so that means they won't respond to you, right? So some of you probably didn't get a response because you did an anonymous complaint. But you can file an anonymous complaint, or you can file a complaint that has your name attached to it. And but if you go to No on Measure K, and there's a lot of them listed there, you look at the one with the icon there with the circle and then a slash through it, and then go down to Speak Up, Be Heard. Right above that, there's a link, and you can go to the FPP site. And if you want to say the same thing we said and just say evidence has already been sent in, you understand, then you're good to go. Okay? So some people are like, oh, some people, it's an amazing thing. I like Facebook. It keeps me connected internationally with people that I work with. But honestly, it's so embarrassing to read Facebook when people go on there and say stupid stuff. They don't even have any idea what they're talking about. But that's just the life we live in, so we can just leave that go. We got more important things to talk about. So there you have it on Measure K. If you want, go to the Appeal Democrat today. If you want to read that article, I don't know whether Jake Abbott wrote it or who wrote it. Doesn't make any difference. It's there. You can read it, see what they got to say. You can go to the No on Measure K site to read what the actual complaint. They photocopied it, or I don't know, snapshot, whatever it did. They put it on there. Hopefully you can read it. And then you can decide what you want to do, or you don't have to do anything. Just don't do anything. It doesn't make any difference to me. I just wanted to bring you up to date because I'm really fascinated because I've never been involved in a Fair Political Practices complaint before. And I'm fascinated to see exactly how they rule on it because I'm always learning. And sometimes you think, oh, that's an amazing law right there, protecting the citizens. And then there's no one really to enforce it. It's just like the Brown Act. You know what the Brown Act is? When I was on the Yuba County Office of Education School Board, Rick Teagarden was the superintendent of schools, and he was very fastidious about legal things, the law, and managing the money, and he was very careful about conflicts of interest. And so he put us through a Brown Act training. Brown Act is where you can't cheat and have a discussion outside the boardroom with your fellow board members and then come in and just have a decision made. You had to actually have a debate or a discussion in public view, right? In general, that's kind of the Brown Act. It's like you can't do backroom dealing. But the fact is, even in the Brown Act, people cheat all the time on the Brown Act. Every board, they just cheat. And the reason is nobody holds you accountable, right? It's the same one in downtown Marysville. Without red light cameras, I didn't like red light cameras, but without red light cameras, people just run red lights and they gridlock all the time. If you did that with red light cameras, you'd be kicking out $400 every time you screwed up like that. But if there's no enforcement, there is no law. People just blow off the law. Right? Do you know how many laws are on the books? There's millions of laws on the books. Do you know that in California, in fact, I got a listing. I think there's this year. It's just like, how did we survive last year when they added 1,000 more laws? In California, just one, it's 1,016 laws. But like, who's enforcing all those laws? Nobody's enforcing them on the government. The government just gets away with literally murder. So that's No on Measure K. So have a happy. If you want to, go check it out. And, we're getting close to 10 o'clock. So anyway, you're listening to Live with Lou. We're here till noon, and we're live. You can listen on KMYCradio.com, or you can go to an app, or you can go do a lot of things, or you can call us up if I miss something, misstate something. You can clarify it so we can correct all things. 530-742-5555. We'll be back for another 2 hours in a moment. All right. Want to stop drunk drivers from killing sober drivers? Ban sober drivers from driving. That's how gun control works. Sold that thought. Surrender your right to drive and just let all those drunks drive around. Well, I was listening to this guy on the way in today. He's a investment counselor, and he's also an attorney. He's on one of the San Francisco stations. He's always interesting to listen to. I always turn on the radio driving in. And I like to listen to him because he's very sharp. And he was talking about, the up and downs of the stock market. You notice that? Stock market boomed up about 700 points the other day. And it's interesting to me. It doesn't matter what happens, the Democrats, the Trump haters, Democrats and Republicans attack it, right? You remember if they said all these catastrophic things were going to happen if Donald Trump was elected president. Remember that? One of them was that the stock market would crash. I don't think we've ever been through a literal crash. I mean, 1987 was kind of gnarly. But I don't know what you had in mind when they said it was going to actually crash because Donald Trump would be elected. I don't know what about Donald Trump being elected president would cause the stock market to crash. I would think, being the kind of guy he is, a businessman and such, that people would have more confidence in him than a crack smoking pervert like Barack Obama. But anyway, the stock market didn't crash when Barack was elected. So the stock market started to go up, right? And then the Democrats were just gritting their teeth because they hated it, because it was a positive thing, right? Even though people in America that were invested in the stock market, millions and millions of people, had 401k investments or retirement invested in the stock market, they were actually being helped by the stock market going up, right? And I think it got all the way, they didn't quite make 30,000, right? I think it was around 20,000, wasn't it? When he took over, was it around 20? And then it got up to 29 or something at the highest, and then it started to adjust back down. So it's been going up and down and up and down. So this investment counselor this morning on the way in was saying how in 2018 we didn't really make any money in the stock market. But he said, listen, he said it's still 3,000 points higher, 3,000 points higher, or 4,000, 3 to 4,000, than it was when Trump took over. Just think about it. So I've been invested in some form of the stock market, like mutual funds or something, for many, many years, decades, because I didn't have any government retirement, right? I just had whatever I set aside was going to be my retirement, not count Social Security, because I didn't know whether that would be around when I retired. So anyway, I'm interested in how the stock market does. But my entire experience in the stock market is that it's gone up and down and up and down and up and down since the 80s. But it constantly, over all of the up and downs, it keeps going up a little bit. It's always growing a little bit. And it's better than putting your money in savings. I don't know if you've tried savings lately. There's no money over there, right? You can put your money in real estate. But the interesting thing is how people are making it sound like it's a total disaster. I don't know if you remember the stock market under people like Barack Obama or the rest of these guys, but it's the president of the United States doesn't ever create a job or change or improve the stock market unless they get government out of the way and they reduce regulations and they reduce taxes. When they do that, people that are involved in business, and maybe if you're clueless to this, that means you've never really owned a business or you don't understand economics. You should go out to, maybe they teach an economics 1 course or 1A course out at Yuba College. Maybe you should go take one or take one online. I think you can probably take it online now, or read a book on it. But you should educate yourself, because the more problems government causes for business, the less people want to do business and the less people want to invest. When regulations are reduced, like I think they're reducing 20 regulations right now, 12 to 20 for every one regulation they add, they're taking a lot of pressure off business. And I always ask, why should we be beholden to government anyway in business? it's just like incredible. In fact, some of the laws I'm going to read in California, hopefully later, it's just like, why are they? It's just like the straw law. I was in Vietnam here a few weeks ago, and anytime you order a drink, they give you a straw. And the reason is because of the uncleanliness of water there. I mean, in other words, you don't drink the water, right? You don't drink tap water, even though it tastes fine. I've tried it and haven't got sick, but it tastes fine. It tastes just like Marysville water to me. But they say it's not, you shouldn't drink it. So they said drink bottled water. So for that, because they wash your glasses, if you drink out of a glass, they're making you like iced coffee or a cup of coffee. They're washing those cups and stuff. And so they give you straws. It's a cleanliness factor. So, you know, here it's a communist country, and business has more freedom in that communist country in many ways that we do here. That gave me pause right there, because I was thinking back in California where I live, I have to request a specific straw. They aren't going to just give me a straw anymore. Otherwise, they'll get fined by the government. Can you imagine that? The government fines a business for giving a piece of plastic to a person. It's just weird to me. I just think that's weird. Anyway, back to the stock market. This investment advisor down in Oakland, he's in Oakland, and he's also an attorney, he said he thinks we're going to have strong growth right through next year. We're going to have good growth. And he does not think we're going to have what they call a bear market. A bear market is when the market shrinks, and a bull market is when it expands. And he says he doesn't see a bear market. But whether or not there is one, the fact is, since President Trump, if it hadn't gone up to 29,000, and it had gone from 20 or 19,000 to 23, let's see, it was at 23.5 or 23.6 the other day. I don't know. Anyway, I would be happy as a clam, because I gained money in the last couple of years. Maybe so it went way up one year and then it went down, and so but the fact is overall the net is it's been up. So here's some other cool stuff that I love. Now, Democrats don't love this, but I love this, because when you read that never in the history of keeping labor statistics has the unemployment rate for Hispanics been lower. And I think that is just cool, because people like to work and they like to make money so they can buy the things for their family that they need to buy, and they can be independent. You know, when you are sucking on government's tit, that means government can jerk you around anytime they want. When you're depending on the government, then the government owns you. When you're independent and you can go out and earn your living, and you have your own money, and you can spend it the way you want for anything you want, that means you have freedom. When you have the EBT card, it limits on how you can spend money, and you gotta you're beholden to the government. You're a mooch, right? And mooches have limitations on them. So that in December, the unemployment rate for Hispanics and Latinos aged 16 and up was 4.4%, down from 4.5. It just keeps going down, down, down. How many records are we going to have? And there was a record high number of almost 28 million Hispanics working in December of this year. I think that's really cool. I'm happy about that. I think it's great when people that want to work can go out there and work and make money and improve themselves and be a good example to their children, right? I don't think dads and moms sitting around the house when they should be working are doing lazy parents are not. I don't care what they say with their mouth. They have a bad testimony for their kids. Now, the other thing is that you remember it during the Obama reign, there were constantly fewer and fewer people in the workforce and more people on welfare and on food stamps. Do you remember that? I don't think that's a good sign. I know people, some people are confused about the Bible, they think that the Bible says that the curse upon mankind was work. The Bible never says that. The Bible says that before Adam and Eve were exited out of the garden, they were put in the garden. It was perfect. It was cool. It was a good situation, and they gave them a mission to accomplish in the garden, and that was to take care of it. That was their work. And so, to me, people don't fare well when they don't work hard. And I had thankfully, I had good examples in my household of everybody worked. Everybody worked. My half-brother, half-sister worked. Parents worked. I worked. I loved it. It was a good experience. So in 2018, at the end of 2018, we had a record number of people in the United States of America that were out there working and earning a paycheck. Is that cool? I think it's very cool. That's healthy. And it is unhealthy when people are hanging around getting a check or getting an EBT card. I don't think people should get paid to just sit around and stare at the TV. So there were almost right under 157 million people out there producing something for other people. I think that's a very encouraging thing. I'm happy about it, and I'm thrilled. I don't know who you're going to attribute that to. If you don't want to attribute that to the Trump administration changing things so business would boom, I don't know. I see help wanted signs around town. The other thing that's amazing, and I played this clip a couple times, I think, on this show. When Barack Obama was at a town hall meeting, he was not running for president. He was the president, and Hillary Clinton and Trump were running against one another. And Trump was saying, we're going to bring manufacturing back to the United States, and Obama was mocking Trump in this town hall meeting, and a person from the audience raised his hand, and he took the question, and this guy was a union member, and he happened to also be black, and he began to question Obama's like, what are we going to do if we're just going to not manufacture anymore? What are all these people going to do? And Obama said, well, we're just going to retrain you into technology or something. Well, Obama doesn't know because he's never really had a real job. Does anybody know where he went to, how he did in school, or whether he ever worked at McDonald's? No, we don't even know whether he had a job one in his whole life. And he's out there telling this guy who's a hardworking union member about how there's no future in manufacturing, and he made the comment, what is this guy, he didn't even use Trump's name, but he was referring to him. He said, what is this guy going to do, just wave a magic wand? Well, this is an article. It says, manufacturing industry posts biggest annual job gain in 20 years. That goes back a few presidents, right? So the net job gains, the manufacturing industry posted net job gains of 284,000 jobs over the full year of 2018, right? Best calendar year since 1997. Some of you weren't even born back then. So pretty incredible. Now, Donald Trump does not run a manufacturing operation. But for instance, I'll give you some ideas. The steel industry rebooted under Donald Trump. The coal industry rebooted under Donald Trump. The auto industry, in many ways, rebooted or started up again under Donald Trump. Aluminum under Donald Trump. Boom. Why? Because they actually made it profitable again and cut regulations so they'd give these guys a chance to make a profit. No business. It's interesting. Santos knows this because he worked out at Glad Tidings. We have people that come out there to work. We call it a benevolence program, and we bring people out there to work that they don't have a job, but they need something today. They're desperate. So they come out to work, and some of them are just horrible workers. Remember that? They're just horrible workers. They don't show up on time. They're always wanting to take a smoke break. They're horrible workers, right? And it's a sad thing when somebody has never had a good example in their life and they just simply don't know how to work. It's kind of like a it's like a death sentence on them to me, because people say, well, can you find me a job? Can you find me a job? I thought, I would never find you a job, dude, right? I would never find you a job. I would never inflict you on one of my friends that run a business, right? You feel the same way, right? Santos a hard worker. And so it's to me, it's very encouraging when Trump has opened the door to millions and millions of jobs and got out of the way where government under Obama was trying to make it more difficult. And it's like employers were the enemy. Employers were the enemy. It's just like in California, employers are the enemy and landlords are the enemy. You know what attorneys, this is so sick. In California, attorneys advise you, if you're an employer, if your employee goes out on some fake injury or something, they just say pay him off, because you'll lose in court every time. And the same way with renters. They'll say just settle with them, because every judge is so biased that it's like judges hate landlords and hate employers in the state of California. It's like, who do you think makes the world go round? What I tell these workers, like I was starting to do and I got off track, I try to explain to workers, I said, you need to quit focusing on yourself. If you don't make any money for that guy you're working for, and you don't get the job done to please him, which is then going to please his clients, you're going to get canned, because if you don't get canned, he's going to lose money and he's going to go out of business. If businesses do not make money at the end of the day, they're not going to be here tomorrow. Different from government, right? Government just comes and takes more money from you. If they burn up the money, mismanage it. I've met very few people in government that know jack diddly about managing their own money or managing in fact, they may manage their own money right, maybe, but they just take a different look out of managing your and my money. They just waste it and just are proud of it. Oh, they think, even these people that claim to be conservative, I'm a Republican, they just totally waste most of our money. Oh, by the way, I noticed TSA, the last time I went to TSA, you know how they keep grabbing my junk all the time? They want to molest me. I don't know. I'm an old guy. Why don't you molest some young dude? I go through all the thing. I'm an expert at taking stuff out of my pocket and putting it in my briefcase or whatever I'm carrying so I don't foul up the system. I'm really good. I've got this thing down. Everything goes in, so it's going through the x-ray machine, and there's nothing. I said, why don't let's just all get naked. Let's just take all our clothes off. You take your clothes off. I'll take my clothes off. Let's all get in that x-ray machine together and hold on to each other and take a picture together. And then they could all see my thing all clear and everything, right? Let's just do it all together. This time, I was flying to San Diego, right, for Christmas. Went through the whole thing, had all my stuff. Are you sure you got everything out of your pocket? You sure you? I said, yeah, I got it. So I go there, and a guy pulls my bag that went through the x-ray machine, right? I got a carry-on bag. I'm coming back from San Diego, and they said, is that yours? Yeah, it's mine. You'll have to step over here, please. I said, okay. He opens it up. It's just loaded with books, like I do a book exchange with my friends down there, right? They buy me books. I buy them books. They want me to read certain things. I want them to read certain things. He said, he looked at all the books. I thought, come on, man. It's books now? Is that the hot item now? It's books? It's not my ding dong that's going to explode. It's not my belt that's going to explode. It's not my shampoo that's going to explode. It's not my watch that's going to explode. It's not my breasts that are going to explode. It's now my books that are going to explode. And I thought, where was this guy anyway before he became a TSA? Was he like a pedophile or something? And so he says, why didn't you get more books? Like he's trying to be sarcastic to me, right? I thought, you're an asshole. It's just like, and so I read the other day, some of these TSA guys are doing they're boycotting coming to work because they're not getting paid. All these guys get paid eventually, right? Once the government starts up, they all get their money back. But they're not willing to work. I'd say to hell with them. Go home. Stay away. We're not going to have any explosions on these planes. I don't think they're preventing any explosions anyway. It's just totally ridiculous. This whole, when you stand back and just watch what's going on at that TSA thing, women are being embarrassed, taking all their clothes off, turning around, they're watching them naked in the other room. This is so absolutely absurd. I get on in other countries. You get on in China. You get on in Vietnam, Hong Kong. You don't have to go through. You go through some screening, but nothing like this. It's so totally off the hook. So it says hundreds of TSA screeners working without pay. This is a CNN thing. Working without pay. That's such a crock of crap. If anything, I'm amazed. You know, you call over to government office. I was trying to do business this last week. Oh, they'll be back January 7th. They'll be back January 7th. I heard that Scott Mitnick, the county administrator of Sutter County, never even showed up for the swearing in of the new sheriff because he's down in Ventura County. He didn't even live here. The guy flies in. The guy makes so much money. I thought, why don't we hire a guy from like France or like Great Britain to manage Sutter County? Have him it's like, what's the difference? He could fly in. What take you 10 hours to fly in, 11 hours from Europe, 8 hours? I don't know what it flies from Europe. Just let him fly in from Europe. Hire a guy from over there to do it. And but we got a guy from Ventura, can't even come up for the swearing in of all these new people. It's like, what kind of people? You know, but it's interesting. If they got off like on Christmas Eve or before Christmas Eve on the 23rd, that means they had 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30, 31, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Work for government, that's not a bad gig, right? And so all these TSA people, we don't want to work now because we're not like going to be guaranteed of a check. We're just going to get a job somewhere. I say, hey, go get a job. Why don't you get back on the EBT card? As far as I'm concerned, I don't give a damn. It's just like ridiculous. It's just like, hey, oh, well, the planes are not going to be secure. Honestly, I have walked through with all kinds of stuff. One day, the liquids can be in the box. Then you can out of the box. Then all of a sudden, they're going to give you an exemption, put you through a special line, and you don't have to do anything. Just walk through the scanner thing, and they'll just ollie auction free. It's a random blessing. It's a random blessing. God spoke for you, told somebody you're good for it. So that you're pre-TSA. You're like, somebody's like vouching for you. It's just, they're calling this the blue flu. I'm telling you, if Trump has the backbone of Reagan, he will just can those suckers and just say, you know something? Go home, dude. We don't need you. Just go get that other job. Hallelujah to you. Well, we're going to, it's almost, I guess we got hour and a half left, so it's almost 10:30. We got a couple commercials to do. We'll be back.
I wish you a courageous and faith-filled new year. I'm Randy Thomason with your SaveCalifornia.com Minute. This is my wish for you in 2019, because we all struggle with fear of people we know, fear of strangers, fear of accidents and catastrophes, fear of the future. The solution to fear is love, especially love for God. Then you can laugh at the days to come and think about what you can give instead of just receiving. And you know something? Every courageous person has been intimate with fear. It's just that they got tired of walking on the road of worry and they took a detour called courage. Truly, to be a difference maker for what's right in God's sight, we need to have courage and faith. Make Jesus Christ your identity in 2019, and you'll have your best year ever. SaveCalifornia.com, fighting the good fight for your values in California.
All right. Well, I want to give a shout out to the Cannabis Club over at Juvenile Hall and just remind you guys and gals that you weren't made to sit in a little coop like a chicken and sit in there and like a kennel, like a little doggy, like a puppy, and be fed and have to ask for toilet paper when you need to take a little poop. And so go get your own toilet paper down there at the grocery store and get your own toilet. So maybe it's time to like shake it up, dude. Shake it up and get out of there and do right. Do right. Go help somebody else out instead of like going and taking something from somebody, doing something weird. And, get a life. Maybe your mom was a hooker. Maybe she was a crack addict. So at the bottom of that Walmart employment form, there's no little space said special benefit or extra points if your mom or dad was a loser, right? No extra points. They don't give you a quick job just because you had a tough start in life. Lots of people had tough starts. Time to pick it up and move on. Also, I wanted to, Aunt Boo was just talking about how long, if you're able-bodied, should you be on public support. One guy in town is looking for able-bodied people that are hard workers and want a career is Monty Hecker. And he runs Elite Universal Security System. They work all up and down the valley here, all the way up to Redding, from Yuba County all the way up north to Redding. And he's looking for some new guards, some more people to work for him. And you can check it out on his website at eliteuniversalsecurity.com or api-academy.com. His schooling is all listed over there at apiacademy.com. And not only, you might think, oh, I'd love to do that, but I don't know anything about it. Well, he'll train you. They got the school, they got all the classes, and they will jumpstart you. You just have to be 18 years of age. You think, oh, I think you have to be 21 to be a cop. Well, they'll start you out training you in this guard work right away. And so you can look and when the classes are. And they got all kinds of cool classes. Handcuff training, pepper spray, guard card, exposed firearm and concealed weapon training, taser training, de-escalation of force training. They can take care of you. And so they have some classes coming up in January here. And the next ones for the concealed weapon permits and range training is January 12 and 13. That's a Saturday and Sunday. And then they're going to start again on the 26th and 27th of this month. Same types of classes. But they have classes ongoing that you can look at up at api-academy.com and get involved. Also, if you need a live scan or you need a mobile notary service. You know what a notary service is? Sometimes a lot of times people never had that done, and they think, oh, somebody says, you got to have that notarized, that document notarized. You think, oh, where do you do that? So there's places around town to get it done, but with Elite Universal Security, they will actually come right to where you are, right? Maybe you're not able to get out. Maybe you don't even have any wheels, and you got to get something notarized. They'll come to your door and get it done. 749-0280. That's a 530 area code, 749-0280. So if you need something notarized, they will come. They will come to a business. They will come to anywhere you are, out in the middle of a field. They'll drive out there and get you notarized. And you can get the live scans if you need to get, like, maybe you're going to be a foster parent or you need live scan for something, right? Like what we used to call fingerprinting. They'll do it every day out there at Monty Hecker's operation and right out here in Yuba County on Feather River Boulevard. 5548, I believe it's 5548 Feather River Boulevard. When you go out of Marysville, you're going out towards the south, it's on the right. Easy to find, really easy to find. So, and it's interesting. Omani and his employees will solve a lot of your problems. You got somebody that's like vandalizing your building, dumping stuff on your property, using your backyard or the back part of your business as a toilet. They'll solve your problems. They'll figure out what's going on, and they'll do some sleuthing that maybe the law enforcement doesn't have time, or maybe they don't even offer that service anymore because they say we're just too busy to do all that kind of stuff anymore. So give them a call And or if you want a job, go out there and just put in an application. I just find out there's a lot of people that don't have any initiative to work. That's the problem. And when you look around the community, when you see problems, most every problem you see has been created by your government. Did you know that? It has. When you pay people not to work, you know what they tend not to want to do? They don't want to go to work, right? I had a friend, a guy, my friend took him on and employed him, and instead of committing there and working hard, he sent somebody, promised him a little more money, he quit, and then that job didn't come through, and then he ended up with no job, right? No loyalty. Things, just qualities that just were normal qualities. People had them back in the day. Today, there's no loyalty. People just rip you off, say you extend yourself to try to train them, and you just get them started, and they just up and go somewhere else. I read an article about it. It's a new term called ghosting. Have you heard of it? Ghosting. It's like the millennials, they don't even call in and say they're resigning or not going to come in anymore. They just disappear. Did you notice that? I noticed that in trauma intervention. It's a program I run here. We go out on 911 calls, and I've had a few people do that to me. Not a lot. Generally, the tip people are amazing. But every once in a while, I have somebody that just disappears. It's a sign of the time. They just disappear. You think, well, what happened? Did an alien from outer space capture them and take them hostage? Did somebody shoot them and throw them in a ditch? I don't know. They just disappeared, and then you call them, and they don't even return your call. They just disappear. It's a sign of the times. Anyway, let's see. Where are we going to go from here? I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I got too much to talk about today, but that's typical. There's always lots going on. Oh, let's talk about this. I got a kick out of this. I'm fascinated. Food stamps are a modern phenomenon. Did you know that? Food stamps. And now they call them EBT cards. And society has survived without them for years, for thousands of years, generation after generation. So they kind of came into being. I first was aware of them when I went to in the 1960s. And I thought, I'd never heard of such a thing because my parents always worked for a living and blue-collar type folks. All my people are blue-collar. Nobody ever made it. I don't even think my mother made it through high school till after I finished. She went out and got finished up at Yuba College, got her GED or something. But everybody worked. Everybody did good. Everybody paid the bills, right? Everybody's fine. And but all of a sudden, the government under Lyndon Johnson decided they were going to declare war on poverty. And they thought by giving people money, that's going to help people. And what it did is it brought hell to people. Instead of heaven, it just brought hell to people. Because they made some rules, and they said if you, a woman, if she didn't have a man in the house and she had kids, she could get lots of money. And so the men then, they stayed out of the house. They call them pillow partners or something like that back then maybe. And so the guy would disappear for a while. And at that time, they used to go out and actually check the living situation and confirm things. They don't even do that anymore. They just give away money in Yuba and Sutter counties now. But back in the day, they'd make sure that there was nobody else living in the home. And they'd be out of the home. They'd show up when money came in and take the money, the guys would help spend the money, and then they'd disappear and go out and be with another woman or whatever. So it actually destroyed households. Did you know that there were more intact black households? There were actually more married as a percentage of the total demographic group. There were a higher percentage of blacks married, having kids, than there were whites around the 40s and 50s. Did you know that? And supposedly that was at a time of incredible racism. But the black family was actually stronger than the white families were, even under the pressure of racism. But as soon as Lyndon Johnson, who hated blacks, by the way, called them niggers. Did you know that? Yeah, he did. And he said, when we start giving them all this welfare, we'll take care of we'll be in control of the niggers for the next 200 years, something like that. And so his goal was to give them free stuff and to solidify their voting bloc. And it worked beautifully. It worked really well for the Democrats, almost 99%. It was just a fluke if a black didn't vote for a Democrat. Why? Because they began giving money away, and that's when people could be on welfare for generations. People would, one generation, you'd have grandma, mom, and the kids, multi-generations, women having kids, all on welfare. Whites, blacks. And so I don't want to give the impression that there were numerically more blacks on welfare than whites. There's a lot more whites, so whites have always been the most people on welfare, but the highest percentage were in the minorities. That's why some of the eugenics people, eugenics, for those out in Olivehurst and Linda, means that we would kill children and by abortion and birth control, but abortion at first. And so they targeted the blacks and Hispanics and other minorities with putting the clinics right in their neighborhoods. Remember how people always lived in the same neighborhood? A lot of minorities would live in the same neighborhood. Yeah, that's how they did it. So with a welfare, it became an area of corruption. It is today. It's just a big scam. And in the food stamp world, it's a major scam. And so when you look at all the homeless people, I think they were talking about homeless folks at the last show right before I came on. One of the big problems is we're funding it. We're paying a lot of those people to just live at a subsistence level, so there's no real incentive. You say, oh, well, nobody really wants to live in the river bottoms. Oh, yeah, they do. I know a lot of them. They're comfortable down there. As long as you give them a little money, let them get high and get a little food in their belly, and then they can hustle from churches and handouts around town. And, it's like, hey, they don't have any responsibilities. You're used to carrying lots of responsibility and pressure. They don't like pressure. So just like, hey, collect a few cans, do this, steal from a few people. We got it going on. So a lot of these, the problem is, one of the 10 commandments was don't steal from people. But darn, it's a big problem in society. So even store owners, even people that make a lot of money steal, right? It's just a common human problem. So it says a former Delaware convenience store owner will spend the next 14 months in prison. I thought, man, he only got 14 months? The guy, he stole $1.7 million in food stamp. Convenience store owner. In other words, people would come in and they'd say, I got $1,000 here or $500 on this food stamps, and he'd give them a half that in cash, and he'd use the rest. He'd run it through his system. And so he was making a lot of money, right? And the people were getting cash. They can go out and buy drugs, or they could buy alcohol or other things that you couldn't buy with food stamps. They'd give away half the value of the food stamps or the EBT card in order to get cash and spend it however they want. So, but it's interesting. Would you steal a $1.7 million? I would do that in a heartbeat. Steal $2 million and only have to do 14 months? 14 months is no big deal, man. 14 months, that's like a cup of coffee. That is nothing. I'm telling you, kids in juvenile hall spend 14 months for stupid crime. I'd tell them, I say, why don't you just head for the border, dude, and they'll come back. But they can't. They just want to go see their mom and their girlfriend, have some sex, smoke some weed, and then they come back to juvenile hall. They pick them up when they break out of juvenile hall. I said, why don't you run for the border and don't come back? I said, you're spending 14 months for some stupid, you took a car on a joyride or you beat up a kid? This guy took $1.7 million. Whose money was that? Me and you. They don't give a crap about your money or my money. The taxpayers' money, they just give it away. They said, guy says he's got to pay this back, supposedly. You know they didn't catch everything he stole. 14 months, that's all he's going to do. And they're busting people left and right for that. And they're usually all foreigners that are running. Their people came from the Middle East, a lot of them, Afghans and Muslims, ripping the government off. But you know why? They don't share the same values that we do. So let's talk about something else. We got two new sheriffs, Barnes. I heard Barnes got the shock of his life the other day. He went to work. Nobody was over there in the sheriff's department. They're used to coming in late. Barnes, Brandon Barnes, that dude's a hard worker, right? I worked with him at the jail. And when Barnes took over the jail, he said, let's have a meeting. So when we met, because I do these classes at the jail, he said, hey, if you ever have any problems, here's my cell number, dude. And he said, let's meet face-to-face for 5 minutes once a month, and then if you ever have another problem, just call me. You call Brandon Barnes, boom, call you right back. Solve it, right? He's on it, right? So he got a wake-up call, showed up the other people over there at that sheriff's department. Was I think he got there too early. He starts early in the morning, right before the regulars. And that place is a ghost town except for the dispatchers. So Brandon, it's going to take him a little while to get it tuned up, but he'll get there. Brandon Barnes and Wendell Anderson, they're both top quality guys. And I'm wondering, I noticed this. I got this. I don't know how I get these. I think some of the listeners send these things to me. But did you know that there's some counties and cities that are rejecting the sanctuary city and state stuff in California? Yeah. Well, I was shocked because when I first got this, I thought this was a state of Jefferson map. You know how you get this California map? It has the counties laid out in the different colors. But this isn't a state of Jefferson map. This is a non-sanctuary county and city map. And so it colors in green. All the sanctuary counties are in white. Those are ones that are just going along to get along, right, with that Prop 54 thing. But then there's these other counties that the leaders of the counties said, we're not going to obey that sanctuary county crap or state stuff. So Siskiyou, Modoc, Shasta, Lassen, Tehama, and Butte have all said we are non-sanctuary counties. Yuba is just going along to get along. And Sutter, it has listed as they're working on or they're considering being a non. Now, I don't know how they came up with that. Sierra, Sutter, and Placer are all in this different color, kind of between white and green, in contemplating switching it up. But Yuba has not made a move to say to the state, we're not complying. Now, I don't know whether that's because we have a immigration holding facility. I don't know how that should, but there's other counties too. Amador, Calaveras, Tuolumne, Mariposa, Tulare, Kern are all non-sanctuary counties. In other words, they're saying we ain't going for it. And all the way down San Diego and Orange County also are saying we're not going for it. So, but then there's cities that said we're not going for it. We're not a sanctuary city. So I got a kick out of it because Colusa, the city of Colusa, Lincoln, Anderson, Waterford, Aliso Viejo, Laguna Beach, Dana Point, Lake Forest, Hesperia, Barstow, Yucaipa, Newport Beach, Fountain Valley, Ripon, Huntington Beach. That's where my daughter lives. They ain't going for it. Mission Viejo. These are all, a lot of them in Orange County. San Juan Capistrano, Yorba Linda, Los Alamitos, Westminster, Escondido, Costa Mesa. Anyway, there's a number of them down in Southern California. It'd be nice if the supervisors and the city council would say, take a stand, unless they don't think they can take a stand, right? Maybe you don't. Maybe you believe in sanctuary. It'd be nice if the city councils and the supervisors would say, we're for a sanctuary state and a county and a city, or we're not. I think the citizen would like that because people are getting murdered left and right in these sanctuary situations. So that's a cool map. So let me bust into these new laws. It's interesting to me, every year, it's actually more laws than normal this year. But in California, every year, for some reason, we don't have enough law in the books It's every year they want to tell us more and more things we can't do. You think, oh, I thought we founded the United States of America. I thought we founded America for freedom and liberty and government not to be in our business. And every year in California, we have 1,000 new laws. Those laws are telling you how to live, right? So how about this one? This will get you. This is fascinating. We now have to provide vegan meals for prisoners. Like when I fly to Asia, some people are vegan. And so they provide them a special meal on the airplane. Now, if you go to prison and you want to switch to vegan, they got to provide you a special vegan meal. Did you know that? And also, hospitals and healthcare facilities to offer plant-based meals. Plant-based. Did you know? I had this down, but I didn't talk about it a few weeks ago. Did you know that in San Francisco, that some of these big corporations down there, these techie corporations, they have cafeterias now, like hospitals have cafeterias, but for the employees, they can eat there for free. It's part of the benefits of working there. Just like I was at a Glad Tidings Thursday, and Mickey, he cooks for everybody on every once in a while on Thursday. So they said, Lou, stick around. So it was like a nice hot meal for everybody, right? Free of charge, just like a little spiff. It was nice. Everybody get together like, hey, we work here together. We like you. Yeah, we like each other. So now the city of San Francisco is telling those corporations they cannot feed their own employees. Is that unbelievable? You know why? The restaurants, this is where government and private enterprise get totally perverted. The restaurants in San Francisco are having a hard time making a living because they now have this $15 an hour wage. And they're trying to force these corporations to not give benefits like that, so it forced people to come out on the streets and go hustle and try to find a meal at lunchtime, right? And very expensive in San Francisco to eat, right? I mean, a cup of coffee is ridiculous. So that's a law just for San Francisco, that these supervisors are trying to force corporations that want to be kind to their own employees and just provide them food. They can't do that. They're telling them how they got to live their life. It's just crazy. I mean, and people are just going for this. So then I mentioned the plastic straw thing. It's a $25 fine per day for each violation and $300 annually accumulation of violations. I guess if you can just get all your violations out in the first month or so, $300, they max it out. It's just another it's another money grab from government. And then it requires restaurants to advertise kids' meals to include water or unflavored milk. That's an attack on chocolate milk, like a euphemism for chocolate milk, non-chocolate milk. So Kevin McCarty, these Democrats, kids' meals shouldn't come with a side order of diabetes or obesity or cardiovascular. It's a side order, right? These people are totally nuts. Customers can still order other drink options. In other words, you know something? It's just like, why don't you just leave people alone? Why don't you just go down there and try to solve cancer or something instead of like telling us what we got to do with our lives? So now we spend $150,000, $60,000 for assemblymen and senators to go down there. And one of the most important thing they did this last year is they determined that surfing was California's new official sport. Northern Californians disagreed. State of Jefferson people, they want snowboarding and skiing to be it, right? More people snowboard and ski than surf. Why we? It's just these Southern California. There's no surfing up in Northern California, up here at Fort Bragg. You freeze your butt off, right? So why is that group? Why do we have to have an official sport? Why don't they let us vote on it? Okay, the sign that somebody else needs to talk for a minute. We'll be right back. We got one more hour to go. into our third hour today. This is Lou Benninger. You're listening to Live with Lou. We're at KMYC The Patriot, 1410 AM and 104.3 FM, if you cared. The live stream, I guess, is still working. You know it's raining outside. Did you know that? It's raining. Did I prophesy it? Yeah, it's raining. It's I read it on the internet, and now it's raining. So maybe we're going to get a lot of snow, fill up those lakes. Even though the global warming people are proclaiming it's going to be a terrible year and life is collapsing around us. What are you going to say?
I checked the redneck rain gauge. Yep, it's raining.
You're redneck. You know something? When I saw it on the internet, I put the redneck rain gauge out in the middle of the hallway under the hole in the roof. And so we're covering. We're covered. The heat's off here. We're layered up here. And I need to go get a big warm meal after this. See if I can. My house has got heat in it. Does your house have heat? You have heat at your house, right?
Yes, we have heat.
We have heat. Yeah. Are you on electric? Or are you using gas?
We have gas.
You gas? Yeah, I got gas. It's expensive, man. All this gas in California, natural gas. PG&E, man, is ripping us a new one. So here's another law: minimum wage. You know something? Many people are so used to minimum wage, they never ask the question, why is the government telling us how much we need to pay people? Why don't they let if I have a business, I should be able to pay a person $1 an hour if I want. If I can find people to work for me $1 an hour, pay them $1 an hour. If I can find people to work at $6 an hour. To me, when I went to work, when I took my first full-time job, I was just happy to get paid. I didn't know anything. I learned how to drive a tractor, drive a big rig, drive a forklift, irrigate. I learned how to do all kinds of cool stuff, work on spray rigs. And I was just happy at that time they had a minimum wage. But I didn't care whether there was a minimum wage. Just tell me what I'm going to get paid. I'll work for it or I won't work for it. You know, they just don't trust people. That the government treat you like you're an idiot. They treat you like you're retarded. They treat you like you don't have enough sense to go to an employer and agree to terms. What time you have to be there, how long you have to work, how much you're going to get paid. You're too stupid to figure that out. So they have to force employers to pay you something they don't even think you're worth. So what they do then is they hire less people because they think, I don't want to put people through it, right? I don't want to have to train people to earn that kind of money. So they just do it with less, or they eliminate them with a kiosk. You've been seeing some kiosks lately where you just go up and tap them and tell them what you order, and all of a sudden over there on the counter, pops right up, right? Just eliminate that little person up there that's trying to get his or her first job. Just forget them. Just put them right out of business. So we're working our way up to a $15 an hour wage. And that's what SB 3 passed in 2016, is all about minimum wage. Why is government even telling us the minimums that we got to pay people? Oh, well, you're going to cheat people. You're going to take advantage of people. Hey, grow up. Why don't they tell us how much we can sell our car for when we sell our used car? Oh, you're going to cheat people. Can't people decide I'll work for $5 an hour or $8 an hour and learn and prove myself? Oh, well, the Democrats, they think every employer, you have criminals and then you have employers. They're almost like a criminal, right? They're just one step down from a criminal because they just cheat people and steal from people. And so you got to pick. Why didn't the government just pick all the wages, every wage that anybody ever can get in the private sector? It's just totally idiotic. We could have almost zero unemployment if we'd allow people that can't find their butt with both hands, give them a job and help them find their butt with both hands. That would be the first start. How to get to the job on time, right? I got people living out of Glad Tidings. They get up, you tell them to be down at the warehouse at 9 o'clock. They show up at 9:20 and think that's good enough, right? And then they want you to get them a job. Then they want you. It's like, what? I don't want to get your eye and my eye blacked. Refer you to a job, and you think, oh well, I couldn't find my alarm. Ridiculous. Who has brought all this about? The government has brought all this about. Giving stuff for free, breakdown of the family. Come on, baby. You cause a breakdown of the family. People, I learned all I know starting out was from my parents. No parents, parents not around, mom's out doing crack cocaine because you're giving her welfare and an EBT card. There you go. Kids just learning zero. Now, this is one of the blessings of that we now have is that the California driver's license, you don't have to say whether you're a man or a woman. You can go, I think at my next time I get a license, I'm going to switch to non-binary. Did you know that's the new term? Transgender people can go for non-binary. I'm going to see the next time when I got to re-up. I'm going to ask them if I can switch from male to non-binary. I think that's kind of a cool term, and see what that'll do for me. Maybe I'll. If you think if I'm a non-binary, it'll open up an opportunity to get some benefits. Non-binary. I don't know. It's a. So and then we got the. This is a euphemism, right? SB 54. It's called the California Values Act. Do you know what that means? That means that state and connect this up for me. You talk about defrauding people and confusing people and lying to people. This is your government. It restricts the ability of state and local police in California to cooperate with ICE, the immigration people. That's called the California Values Act. Is that's like where Xavier Becerra, the wannabe gang member, the wannabe Norteño, Xavier Becerra, the Attorney General, instead of Proposition 6 on the last ballot being repeal of the gas tax, increase in gas tax and DMV fees, what it said is it's going to reduce the road funds. That's all we got. So, here's another one. This is AB 291. This is a new law. And this prohibits, if you're a landlord and you realize that you have an illegal alien living in your house, you cannot tell immigration about it. You have to protect them. And I think in business, Xavier Becerra also said he will file an action against businesses that don't want illegal aliens working for them. Also, if you haven't already experienced this, I was just at my friend's house in San Diego, and they were having sticker shock over their DMV fees because they both have new cars. So under SB 1, fees, DMV fees you may have on top of what you've always paid, which is more than anybody else pays around the country, $175 more for vehicle registration, up to that increase. All right. Now, this was fascinating to me. Do you remember when the ballot measure, Prop 64, the voters approved the legalization for recreation use of marijuana? Well, unfortunately, in that ballot measure, it never addressed whether or not you could smoke and drive or chew and drive or eat and drive, right? So that meant that there was a person could smoke weed and drive right down the highway. And then, in other words, they let that thing go through and go on the ballot and not be adjusted. And so now they've passed a new law, SB 65, that says you shouldn't drive a car while smoking or eating marijuana. This is one of the things that I thought I was fascinated with Governor Brown's comment when he said, if we legalize marijuana for this purpose, he was against it, for recreational use, who's going to actually run things? I thought, hey, it's a good comment, right? I mean, would you, I was commenting, I had gotten a big discussion because I'm conservative among this group I hang out with in San Diego, right? And so we got a discussion, and I brought up this Governor Brown comment, and I said, so people thought, oh, well, we don't have a problem with the marijuana thing. I said, well, I don't care whether people get high. I said, I if I go in to get surgery, I prefer the surgeon not be under the influence, right? Or just a number of other areas of life where you'd prefer, like the bus driver, if you're on a bus or a plane, like would you want to fly Southwest if they got there 9 times out of 10, right? Like occasionally a guy's under the influence or having sex up in the cockpit. It's like, I think I'd like to have higher averages than 9 times out of 10. So also, this is another fascinating thing. The government of California now is telling corporations, if they're big corporations, in other words, the type that trade on the stock exchange, right, that they have to have at least one woman on the board of directors. And if they have a board of 5 or more directors, they'll have to add 2 or 3 women by the end of 2021. In other words, it doesn't have anything to do with what the people that are running the company have. They are forced to bring on women. Now, they don't address the issue, what if there was an all-women board, right? Would they have to bring on a man? They don't go there. So it could be an all-woman board and leave off the men. So this is fascinating. The government, you think, in Venezuela, they took over companies. Now, this is progressively taking over companies. You're telling them whether the type of insurance they have to have, the pay, the minimum pay, overtime pay, how long they can work people, right? All these kind of things. And now they're saying that to run the company, you have to have a certain gender quotient. And if you violate that, the fine is $100,000 for first violation. It's $300,000 for second violation and subsequent violations, and a $100,000 fine for failure to timely file board member information with the Secretary of State. So you don't file this document in a timely fashion, it's a $100,000 fine. I mean, honestly, people, this is absurd. Just it's incredibly wild. Now, this is the Me Too Goes Corporate, spurred by Me Too movement. 3 new laws ban private and public employers, including members of the state legislature, from reaching secret settlements and non-disclosure agreements over sexual assault, harassment, and discrimination. Now, what I would like is that the taxpayers would not have to pay off these people. Now, that's what's happening. You know, they made a big deal about Trump supposedly settling with Stormy Daniels before he became president regarding some kind of relationship they had. I don't know what relationship they had, and frankly, I don't really care, right? But the fact is, they made a big deal about President Trump spending his own money to settle up with her. But they don't ever criticize all these Congress people and senators that actually paid off their prostitutes and hookers and secretaries and all that kind of stuff with taxpayers' money. They don't have a problem with that. And that hasn't been a big issue with Democrats. Though in this Me Too movement, that kind of came to the surface. Let's see. I don't want to shoot up the rest of the day on all these laws, but Second Amendment in California is under assault. So this is kind of cool. AB 424 bans any guns on campus unless you're a terrorist, then they can have a gun. And eliminates the policy allowing school administrators the authority to decide whether campus employees with concealed carry permits can carry. So what that means is that people on campus, even if they're legal to have a concealed weapon, cannot have it on campus. In other words, you are purposely going to make the campus vulnerable to attack. So then you also have a situation, they passed a law where if you're a family member, you can throw your family member under the bus if you don't like them, they piss you off, and you can say you don't think they should have a gun, and they could have all their guns confiscated. That's another law that passed. This is really shocking to me. AB 3 raises the legal age to 21 to purchase a rifle or a shotgun. Now, I had a rifle and a shotgun when I was 12. I went through the hunter safety course, and I began hunting at 12. This forbids that. Well, it actually says you can't do it unless they are members of law enforcement, in the military. I guess if you're in the military at 18 and you can shoot a machine gun and kill the enemy, you could have one at home. You could have a gun at home. Or you already have a hunting license. So I don't know what that means, if you already had one from years previously or you went down and got one. I don't understand. It's a little unclear. The bottom line is you can go and you can kill people at 18 years of age for the Army or the Marines, but you cannot have a gun in California if you don't want to join the military. Let's see if there's any other that you would like. Oh, if any of you want to go to college now, if you go and you take a full, if it's your first time, you can enroll full-time. If you enroll full-time, it's free. Did you know that? We're paying for first-timers to full-time enroll in college, and that includes illegal aliens. Yeah. And you and me are paying for it, Wiki Man. Now, here's the deal. This is the way to cash in. If you go into a nursing home, and so this is the LGBT Senior Bill of Rights, and it's a crime to misgender nursing home residents. So if they call you Mr. Santos and you want to go LGBT, you can fine them. It's a $1,000 fine and a year in jail for somebody that like misgenders you or calls you honey or something, and that maybe you think that's effeminate and you're a guy. Requires nursing home and long-term care facilities to comply with the transgender bathroom law. That means that a guy, that he's plumbed like a guy, but he's feeling it like a woman, he can go in the women's bathroom in a nursing home. Somebody's liable to get shot over there. One of these old ladies all fired up, packing a little 38. She's liable to take care of one of those boys in there trying to molest her, 80-year-old woman. All right. So there you have that. Lots of new laws. The government is just saying, we just got to manage your life. It's like having your mama. You know, you used to leave the house. She said, put your coat on. Don't catch a cold. Like you're going to go out there and chase around and try to find a cold to catch. Don't catch a cold. Wear your coat. Put your shoes on. Tie your shoe. Comb your hair. Get the snot off your nose. That's a government we have. It's called a nanny government in California. You over there in Idaho, I know you're laughing at us today. Laughing at you're like using the straw, packing your gun, right? You got $25 DMV fee over there, going to last you 44 years. So, you remember all this talk of voter fraud? I got so angry when the Republican Party called me the other day because down in Orange County, they just totally stole some elections. The Democrats down there, Republicans didn't do jack diddly. They just are so sissified. This Jim Brulty guy that runs this Republican Party has turned out to be, they just ought to call it the LGBT Party. I think it's just, they got no backbone. They just like all little effeminate folks. Sad. Just sad. Feel sorry for them. I'm not part of them. I don't want to be a part of them. Sorry I never knew you, like Jesus said. don't know you. Never don't remember you hanging around here. Said, "Oh, we didn't. We knew you. You're like we were with you." Said, well, I never knew you. And let me go down. We're getting towards the end. I don't want to skip this. I only get down here farther. I'm not going to cover any more FPPC. Let's do this. In Breitbart News, you can look it up on their website. In memoriam, 12 Americans allegedly killed. I hate that word allegedly. 12 Americans killed by illegal aliens in 2018. There's photos of them. And it's interesting. There's not one black person in the group. You know that, I don't know. I think we have a clip coming up with Dave Chappelle on this, but there's not one black person in this group. There's one Vietnamese lady. So these are all people that got murdered in 2018 by illegal aliens. Molly Tibbetts probably is the most famous. She's University of Iowa college student. 24-year-old illegal alien Christian Bahina Rivera. So he stabbed her to death and dumped her in rural Brooklyn, Iowa, in a cornfield. God bless you. Ronil Singh was the officer in Newman, California. Legal immigrant he was from Fiji. And he was shot and killed by Gustavo Perez Arriaga. So he was a known gang member, Perez, and he plotted to flee across the U.S.-Mexican border to flee the pursuit of the police. They caught him. He'd already crossed the border into the U.S. from through Arizona a couple of years ago. 7 other this should get your attention. You think, oh, these people south of the border think just like us. I want you to think about this. 7 other individuals, 2 of whom are illegal, have been arrested along with Perez Arriaga for helping him evade arrest. Isn't this interesting? You shoot a police officer and 7 other people that live in the United States of America help you evade the consequences of shooting a police officer. What's that say about these people and what they think about this country? Now, the Democrats, they love this. Madison Wells, 16-year-old Madison Wells was stabbed to death by Brian Cordero Castro, a 20-year-old illegal alien, because they broke up. Oh, it's an expensive way to break up. I not only want my ring back, but I'm going to stab you 100 times. Stabbed her at her residence blocks away from her home in Long Branch, New Jersey. Arrived in the country illegally without any adult border crosser accompanying him. He was a minor. Illegal minor. These poor illegal kids facing 30 years of prison. Logan and Jessica Wilson. This is a couple that was killed. Eduardo de la Lima Vargas faces 2 counts of manslaughter, drunk driving, just ran over him. There you have it. Watch who you're driving with. This is another dual deal. Carlos Wolf and Sander Cohen. They were also killed by a driver, illegal alien, Garza Palacios. Ran over a 28-year-old, he's a 28-year-old illegal alien from Guatemala. He caused a car crash, killed 33-year-old Sander Cohen. He was the Maryland State Fire Marshal's Office deputy chief, the son of the deputy chief. I think the more politicians' kids, Democrats, that get killed, and the more people in power get killed, the better. That's what I feel. Hallelujah, too. You think, oh, no, you shouldn't wish that. Hey, do you know something? Get over it. People are getting killed every day. look at your paper if you have a paper. Look at the paper. Every day. Obituaries. People die every day. So I get sick and tired of people saying, oh, we don't want to do this and we don't want to do that. But they don't want to do anything about people getting killed by these folks. Rocky Paul Jones, 51-year-old, was allegedly shot and killed by 36-year-old illegal alien Gustavo Garcia in Visalia, California on December 17th. Where did it happen? It happened at a gas station. Just shot the dude. How about this lady? 81-year-old Lou T. Harris. She's actually Vietnamese. At one time, she married an American dude. She was murdered by 45-year-old illegal alien Billy Chimurmer, originally from Kenya. That's a fresh start. Instead of a Mexican or Guatemalan, got a guy from Kenya. Killed her in her own home before robbing her of jewelry and other items. He smothered her to death. How would you like to do that? It works with a pillow. Sometimes people smother people that are on hospice. They just say, well, let's hurry this up. And the illegal alien is being held on a $1 million bond. And this is shocking to me. Authorities now are reviewing more than 750 recent deaths of elderly women in the area to determine if Chimurmer was allegedly involved in those. Have you ever heard of such a thing? 750? This is out of Texas. Deaths of elderly women, all smothered? 750? I never heard of such a thing, that number. That was shocking. And maybe this guy's been like smothering them and then taking all their stuff. That's a way to make a little living. I never thought of that as an occupation coming out of high school. We'll be right back. We're going to take a break. We got 30 minutes more.
If California has you depressed, here's hope. I'm Randy Thomason with your SaveCalifornia.com Minute. You could probably list a dozen bad things about California, and you'd be right. But here are 2 things to remember that should always give you hope. 1, God does not change, and Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. The Lord's moral standards are good and helpful and fruitful. Stand firm in Him, and you'll never be ashamed. 2nd, you have the power to do good right where you are. You have more influence than ever to change minds of reasonable people. By posting evidence on social media and other places on the internet, you can reach thousands. So think God's thoughts and see yourself as a change agent. Let us equip you at SaveCalifornia.com, fighting the good fight for your values in California.
All right. Well, we got some guys coming in here at noon, and they're going to be talking sports if you like sports. But we have a few minutes left, so we'll make good use of it. Hey, we did a little advertisement earlier on trauma intervention programs. So on November 30th of this 2018, we ended the 24th year of trauma intervention program in the Yuba Sutter counties. And so we're obviously in our 25th year now, and we do a training once a year, and usually the end of February, and that's how it's landing right on the end this year. If you want to get involved, if you're interested in doing some volunteer work and you want to, sometimes volunteer work, I don't know, some of this stuff's boring for me. I like action. I like to go and do something where I walk away feeling, hey, I made a difference here maybe. And so I've been involved first as a chaplain and then going out on 911 calls with law enforcement and fire, but then started the trauma intervention program up here. And so we go on 911 calls and 24 hours a day. So you can be on a shift. You can be on a day shift or night shift. You help pick the shifts. And each tip person takes 3 shifts a month, 3 12-hour shifts where they're just on call. You don't have to go sit in the tip office. You can just be contacted by your cell phone, sent from wherever you are to get there within 20 minutes. So sometimes people call me from Sacramento County or Nevada County or other counties, but basically we serve, we just serve Yuba and Sutter counties. Sometimes we just go over the line a bit if there's a car crash or something. So we have sometimes we have people in southern Butte County that get involved with TIP. So if you'd like to be involved, you can do that. Some people say, well, don't you have another time of the year when you do training? No, we just do it once a year. It's very expensive to pull off. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. It's a big job. It's about 35 hours of in-class training. We do it over a 2-week period at night during the week and on a couple weekends. It's not every day, but we scatter some days through those 2 weeks. It's very interesting training. I've trained hundreds of Yuba Sutter residents. No one, not ever, has accused me of, oh, that's really boring, or that was boring. It's pretty interesting stuff, and you hear from all kinds of people, nationally certified tip trainers, law enforcement officials, nurses, firefighters. We have victims. We have a lot of different speakers from different occupations and pursuits in life. And then we do an ongoing training. Once a month, we have a continuing education meeting to keep you up to date on all kinds of things that are going on in the emergency response system and how to help people. So we provide practical and emotional support for folks that are going through not just a bad hair day, the worst day of their life. I'll give you an example. I think I told about this lady last week. I got contacted by her friends in September. They said, Lou, it was right before Christmas. I was just leaving for Christmas. They said, Lou, we have a co-worker that needs some help. She had a fire. She was away, and her house caught on fire while she was away. She lost everything, and 60 days before that, her husband died. I don't know whether you've ever thought about that. That would be hard. Your spouse dies, 60 days later, your house burns. You got two kids, little one and a teenager. Pretty hard, right? Happens every day. You may have had a good day today, Saturday. It's raining a little bit. You're feeling good, having a little relaxing day. Somebody's having the worst day of their life here in Yuba Sutter area. Happens every single day. And law enforcement's out there and fire and Bi-County ambulance taking care of business, helping folks through it. But they need some extra folks, and we provide that through trauma intervention, and they call us out, and we go and do our service. You don't have to have any experience. Somebody called me the other night, said, do I need to know CPR? I said, you don't. You don't need to know CPR. You don't need to have any previous experience. We'll train you. If you have some previous experience, like a lady called me, she wants to come to training. She said, I used to work at Right Out Hospital. She said, Lou, I want to help you. I said, okay, come and help us. So if you want to get involved, you can call me up. I'll give you my number, or you can go on our website, send me an email off our website. So I'm going to give you that information. Grab a pen or pencil or a crayon, or just maybe you can memorize it. So you can dial me up at 530-713-1838, or you can text me at that number, 530-713-1838, or if you just have questions. Or you can go to Yuba Sutter Tip, T-I-P, Yuba Sutter Tip, all one word, .org, and you can go to the volunteer page. Just click on volunteers and just send me an email, and we can have a chat. I'll explain. I'll answer any question you have. The first night of the training is an orientation. There's no commitment asked to come. You don't have to pay anything to start, to come to the orientation. You just come check it out. First night, we don't want you to do something that you shouldn't be doing. So we want you to check us out, and we want to check you out, see how you're doing. If you have a bad background, if you have some issues in your background, whether you've changed or not, we can't do tip. A bunch of DUIs, or you burglarized, or you robbed somebody, or something happened in your past. Even it could have been 25 years ago. You've changed your whole life. Doesn't make any difference. Police won't allow you to come on the scene. I may think you're the most wonderful person. I have some friends that got some gnarly backgrounds. I say, love you and all that. They say, Luke, can we do tip? I said, love you and all that stuff. Let's do something else. Tip, the law enforcement's not going to look kindly upon you because you made a boo-boo back there somewhere. But if you're interested, February 28th is the start. That gives you a couple months to think about it. And then, we do February 20th to Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday and Sunday. The night classes start at 6. So if you can get off work, or maybe you can switch shifts. And then the next week, it's instead of Thursday, Friday nights, it's Tuesday, Thursday, Friday nights, and then Saturday of the second week. So you can do it. And it's pretty fulfilling work. People we have with us, we've had, they love to help people. So check it out, Trauma Intervention. And also, if you want to help us, we're wrapping up our fundraiser. It actually, technically, will wind it up at the end of 2018, but you can give year-round a tip. And all the money, the interesting thing about TIP locally is that we don't have any paid staff, so all the money goes, and we don't rent buildings, we don't have utility costs. All the money particularly goes to training volunteers, resources for victims, and helping victims. So all your money goes to the need. So you can send that check to P.O. Box 645, Marysville, 95901. Or you can go on our yubasuttertip.org and give through there as well. So thank you very much ahead of time for that. If you want to get involved or you have questions about getting involved, 530-713-1838, and we'll answer any question you might have. Be happy to do that. So the Democrats over the last couple of years have been arguing that a person should be able to go to the polls, not have to prove who they are, not have a driver's license, not have any ID, and just vote to their heart's desire. And even though you have to have, anywhere I go, I have to have an ID. If I go on a plane, if I go into the bank, even my own bank, they always want to see my ID. I think they think I'm going to rip them off. So going to the bank, charge something, they're always asking for the ID to go in anywhere. But the Democrats do not want anybody to have to show identification. They don't think blacks are smart enough to figure out how to get an ID. Does that say something bad about Democrats? I think it does. The black people I know, they are smart people. In fact, I've got some that go to Glad Tidings. One was a probation officer. Or actually not probation, parole, retired parole. 2 others work for the United States government. They're just like, hey, these people got it going on. They all have IDs. Everybody in our church that's from started in a foreign country or are black, they all have IDs. It's interesting. But somehow Democrats find blacks that can't figure out how to find the DMV to get an ID, even if they don't drive. So down in Texas, they have the top 5 voter fraud cases I'm going to tell you about along the Texas border. You think that illegal aliens aren't causing some problems up here? Besides killing people, they're also getting involved in elections. So in January, the Texas authorities arrested Ernestina Baron in Rio Grande City. She's 50. She's a school district employee, and they arrested her. Isn't this interesting? She works for the school district. And they arrested her on 3 counts of election fraud and 3 counts of fraudulent application for mail-in ballots, for filling out applications illegally for other voters in an earlier election. Days later, officials charged Erica Lozano Palayo, 37, after she submitted an absentee ballot for a voter who died but remained on the voter registration rolls. A 3rd woman, Belinda Garcia, surrendered to the Starr County Special Crimes Unit on a charge of fraudulently applying for a mail-in ballot. She reportedly said the voter was disabled, but that was not true. She just was scamming their vote. Then we had 14 Hidalgo County residents charged in a voter fraud scheme. 14 in one county. And so investigators with the DA's office and the Texas Rangers, how often do you get to hear the Texas Rangers? And the office of the Texas Attorney General, Ken Paxton, initially arrested 4 of the suspects in May of 2018, all of whom illegally voted in 2017 election. One was a convicted human smuggler. That means trafficking in people. And that person was serving probation and voted illegally. 2 claimed to live in the city limits, but in fact resided elsewhere. Another was only charged with making a false statement. Anyway, 9 more eventually were arrested, and the investigation continues. It's a big voter fraud operation. Number 3, non-U.S. citizen indicted for leading voter assistance ring that targeted elderly and disabled voters. So the Democrats recruited non-U.S. citizens. That's a euphemism for illegal alien, a criminal. And they were involved in talking to older people and disabled people and saying, listen, I'll fill out your app. I'll fill out all the paperwork for you and vote for you, right? One of them is married. One of the people that arrested was married to a school board member of the Hidalgo County School District. Isn't that fascinating? Just people just like, why do people do stuff like this? It's just incredible. It's just like, why don't you just follow the rules? Just like be a normal person. A poll watcher accuses Hidalgo city official of unlawfully assisting a voter in a 2018 midterm. So this is another situation where city councilman Rudolfo or Rudy Franz, he ended up filling out a voter, basically got busted for voter fraud because he filled out an application that didn't belong to him, or a voter ballot. Texas Democrat Party accused of encouraging non-citizens to vote in the November 2018 midterm in Rio Grande Valley in Texas. So an October complaint accused the Texas Democrat Party. Now, I don't know whether these complaints are any different from my Fair Political Practices complaint, whether you have to do all the research and provide all the evidence before they'll act on this, right? But this is a complaint accused the Texas Democrat Party of mailing altered voter registration applications to non-citizens in the Rio Grande Valley. The mailers they allegedly had the U.S. citizenship box pre-checked. In other words, they sent out these forms to non-citizens, and they checked that citizenship box as citizens, so they wouldn't get confused by that. So they lied for them. So it created a false claim to voter eligibility. In other words, the non-citizens were not eligible to vote, but they gave them these pre-citizen checked. They did the boxes, all done, boom, boom, boom. The document urged recipients to vote in the November midterm elections. The box asking if a voter will be 18 years of age on or before Election Day was also pre-filled. So they said, hey, just go vote. We're checking off the age. All we need to do is add your name in there. We checked off everything else, right? So the Public Interest Legal Foundation, an election integrity law firm, alerted Starr and Hidalgo County District Attorneys Paxton and Secretary of State Rolando Pablos and the U.S. Geez, everybody's involved in this. Trouble. Anyway, it's the whole Democrat Party down there in Texas. They're going for it. They're going to convert Texas from red to blue, and they're going to do it however they can. So just one after another case. Salvadoran illegal immigrant living in East Texas since the 1980s. Was indicted on voter fraud and immigration violation charges. Mario Ariana from Honduras. Amazing. Mexican national faces deportation after pleading guilty to voter fraud. One after AG Democrat Party funded voter fraud ring in Tarrant County, another county. They got problems down there in Texas. People aren't doing right down there. Okay, we got a couple of minutes. I'm gonna finish this. I brought up that there's an article coming up in the Territorial Dispatch. The title of the article is FPPC Ups the Ante on Illegal Expenditures. And so it's written by, like I mentioned, John Kupal, and I'm just going to mention some high points if you never do get around to looking at the Territorial. So the FPP said that BART, Bay Area Rapid Transit, used public funds, that's tax dollars, to pay for a campaign of YouTube videos social media posts and text messages to promote Measure RR, which authorized BART to issue $3.5 billion in general obligation bonds. Then it says, under California law, spending money on a political campaign to pass the bond measure caused BART to qualify as an independent expenditure committee and required it to file campaign finance reports, but the transit agency ignored the requirement. Now, that's what I suggested that Yuba County did. Now, we'll see whether I was wrong or not. We'll see. So they have all the evidence now. It says BART failed to timely file two late independent expenditure reports, etc. Then FPC imposed a fine of $7,500. Now this is the next problem. If the FPPC decides to fine Yuba County, who pays the fine? Does Robert Bendorf pay it out of his pocket, which is out of the taxpayers paid Robert Bendorf? He's the county administrator. Do the supervisors pay it out of their pocket? Because they're making about $80,000 a year. Oh, by the way, I was talking to somebody the other day, and the supervisors keep shooting their mouth off about, we don't make $4,000. You know something? These guys, you talk about lack of transparency. You know what they ought to do, the supervisors? If they were really honest, they would put the whole controversy to sleep or to bed by just simply posting on their Facebook page, the county's Facebook, or the web page, or in the Appeal Democrat or the Territorial Dispatch, somewhere public, all the money that and all the benefits that they get. The money they get from the water agency, the money they get from every single committee, the per diem, or the what I call the tuna fish sandwich money, the coffee, the per diem they get every month, money for just running around, their health insurance payments, their retirement payments. Just list it all for everybody to see once and for all, and put the thing. I'm so tired of people shooting their mouth off that have no idea what they're talking about. And my contention is it's going to end up, when you add up everything, it's going to add up to over $80,000 a year. Hello. So there you have it. But we'll see whether, because if you file a Freedom of Information Act, they're going to keep cheating, because if you don't ask for specifically what you want, it's like the FPPC. You have to put the whole case together like you're a prosecuting attorney before they'll act, right? So in this case, the FPPC imposed a $7,500 fine on BART. Well, BART is a $1 bazillion a year operation. And Senator Steve Glazer complained that it was a ridiculously low fine and no deterrent to future misconduct with taxpayer funds. In fact, he said the minimal fines incentivizes, that means encourages, illegal activity because of the return on investment. Right? The FPPC also directed its staff to prepare a letter to the California Attorney General and local district attorney's office to criminally prosecute this case. Now, there's another situation. I don't know whether it's L.A. County. I kept getting confused. L.A. City, L.A. County. So in March of 2017, the county placed Measure H, that's L.A. County, a sales tax hike on the ballot. The county's use of nearly $1 million of public funds. Now, you think that's a lot of money, don't you, because it's L.A., but actually, when you look at the pro rata share per capita, Yuba County spent more percentage of taxpayer dollars at $200,000 than L.A. at $1 million. You get it? They used nearly $1 million of public funds for a political campaign. And so the FPPC filed 15 counts of campaign finance violation against the Board of Supervisors. So we'll see. We'll see how it turns out, and we'll be back next week. WikiMan, you're going to be live? We're going to do live. We're going to try to do live. And the sports guys are out. I can hear them. They're like growling outside the door here, growling and scratching at the door, wanting to get in here and take over. So we're going to let them. Okay.
you.